Alright, so I am extra excited for the fall to be here finally, and I was trying to narrow down a top 10 list for fragrances that I'm going to be reaching for this month of September as summer ends, but I couldn't quite narrow it down, so I've got 20 here that I'm going to be reaching for this month coming right up. Peace be with you, everyone. Welcome to my channel. My name is Trevor. Really grateful to have you here. And today's video is actually a top 20. So we got 20 fragrances right here that are going to be ones that I reach for during this time of the year, September, when summer is ending. And some of the accords that really appeal to me during this time are going to be animalic notes. I know that might not be everyone's cup of tea, but I enjoy them right now. Sweet accords, fruity accords, and probably I want to say like woody accords, like vetiver type, grassy hay, that sort of dry style fragrance. Some notes in particular are like leathers, honey, citruses, and cardamom, I would say. And so without further ado, I'm going to get right into the list. No particular order. These aren't ranked. These are just some of the ones that I know that I'm going to be reaching for. Trussardi Riflesso. This is a La Nuit de l'Homme clone. It's a little bit fresher, and it has a nice green apple note in here as well. Very autumnal. Better longevity and projection, and I would say my go-to La Nuit de l'Homme DNA fragrance at the moment. I used to be reaching for Poker Face from Ted Lapidus, but I think that's been discontinued. This one is a great cheapy alternative, and I actually prefer it to current formulations of La Nuit de l'Homme at the moment. Very nice, creamy cardamom apple, beautiful, beautiful fragrance from Trussardi. This is Riflesso. Terre Eau de Toilette, nice earthy orange and powdery isoe super. Really nice woody and citric fragrance that gives off that nice ambery orange glow. That is apt for this month of September here. Definitely get your nose on or sample it. It's not for everyone, but it does grow on you, it would seem. Not a beginner's fragrance, but a class act if you've got a little bit more of a mature nose. And the earthy qualities in here, this dirty soil type orange is really great for September. The cinnamon and cardamom with a nice zesty lime. This is Kenzo Jungle. A little bit more of an acquired taste, I would say. It's kind of smells like Grandma's spice cabinet in some sense, but it's got a really nice modern masculine cologne sharp touch with the citric qualities from the lime in here. Also, Olivier Cresp is the perfumer, so he's somebody that's worth taking note of when he has his hands on something. This is Kenzo Jungle. Also affordable. Check out Forever Luxe. They've got the best prices on these right now. Jubilation XXV from Amouage. This is the newer formulation. They've been watered down since they were originally released, or so I hear. That's what all of the reviewers and comments on Fragrantica say. That being said, this watered down version I think is great for a kind of end of summer fragrance. It's got a nice light brevity to it that makes it wearable in high heat, I would say. Maybe even more suited for a high heat, as the projection being very like oily, like the sillage is kind of poor on this, or at least it feels that way. I have been told by people far away that they could smell this on me, but that being said, it's a very nice fruity, honey, blackberry, kind of black curranty smell. Kind of reminds me of charcuterie board on Thanksgiving, like some savory elements in there, like cheese, crackers, honeys, nuts. All of that is done in here in a very bright, effervescent, light, joyful kind of way, hence Jubilation XXV. Sample it first, see if it's worth your time and money. This is a little bit more on the expensive side. Jubilation XXV. L'Instant de Guerlain Eau de Toilette. So these do come in different style bottles now, more like the L'Homme Ideal line, but this is a really nice powdery sawdust and lemon style fragrance mixed in with some Nesquik powdery chocolate. Really incredible stuff, not necessarily a compliment getter per se, but really elegant, grown-up, masculine, and inoffensive, really good office style fragrance, and I think matches the atmosphere and color tone and pattern of the month of September incredibly well. This is L'Instant de Guerlain Eau de Toilette. This is Voyage d'Hermes, the EDP version. So this, I haven't tried the EDT, but this is just a beautiful kind of powdery, soft, floral citric composition. Really nice, beautiful cardamom in here, lemon, and some like dense floral compositions. It's incredibly enjoyable to wear, but like I said, kind of doesn't stick around that long, and no one's really going to be able to smell it on you but yourself because the sillage is kind of poor, but the wearing experience is a absolute delight. This is Voyage d'Hermes EDP. It's 1 million lucky. So this is a really nice, light, aldehydic, fresh style fragrance, but it's mixed in with some really nice creamy, almost savory nuts, like I think it's chestnut, but it's very nutty kind of sweetness, like a, like an almond or a chestnut style density, but it's like lightened up by some plum fruitiness and some really nice aldehydic components. Beautiful, beautiful fragrance. I don't have too much of a sweet tooth, but this is definitely a sweet fragrance that I can get behind, and like I said, definitely get it before it's gone. This is 1 million lucky. Khiel's Original Musk. So first got turned on to this one by Kevin Samuels. Shout out to Goldie Smell Good. I've seen you mentioning this one up recently. This is one of those animalic fragrances in this list, so if that's not your cup of tea, maybe skip over it, but if you ever tried an animalic fragrance, this might be a good place to start. Really nice sort of slight animalic musk with some warm, pillowy texture to it. Beautiful kind of dense animalic florals, and then a little bit of like warmth to it as well. The polarizing aspect is that the people that don't like this say it smells like bad breath. At least that's the worst critique I've had of it, but I personally enjoy it and I've gotten compliments on it. So check this one out this September, Khiel's Original Musk. And Aramis Havana, recently discontinued. Used to be able to get it for 20 bucks. It's going for around 60 or 70 now. I still would pay that. I've been thinking about getting a backup bottle. There's even vintage versions of this in a blue cylindrical cone-shaped bottle. Been thinking about getting one of those. There's also a fragrance from Rogue Perfumery, Tobacco Vert. I haven't tried that, but I've been thinking about getting that as well. Kind of described similarly to this fragrance, which is a nice, very green, a little bit musty. It's like there is like the opening in this is a little bit musty, which is like somewhat of the off-putting old manish vibe that this can give, but the overall general green tobacco that this blooms and blossoms into, with a little bit of like a nice red chewing gum, big red chewing gum spiciness that comes in from like a carnation and some cinnamon in here. Absolutely one of my favorites for this time of the year, where it's still kind of hot, but it's basically autumn, and this just plays so well in that environment. One of my top picks for personal taste anyway for the month of September. This is Aramis Havana. Like Dolce&Gabbana's The One EDT. So I like to wear this one at the end of summer because the heat helps this one to project off my skin a little bit better. But classic amber tobacco and ginger with a little bit of like an orange citric quality to this. Absolutely stunning composition, and one that I clearly reach for quite a bit in this early part of the autumn. Also a cheapie. You can usually find testers of this for like 30 to 40 bucks. Whispered Myths. I've actually got this one on my hand right now. I love digging my nose into this scent, but it's one of those ones that's very touchy. Like I have to have the right composition of like humidity to dryness to like warm to cold for this to really shine, because there is a very skanky barnyard oud in here, but it is mingled in with a cantaloupe melon fruitiness and a slight sort of dry driftwood, almost salty component that just makes this absolutely intriguing fragrance for sure. I have also gotten polarizing reactions from this. I was once told by a woman that you smell delicious when I was wearing this one, and then I've also been told that this is funky. So definitely sample this one. They do sell samples of this at their direct website at Imaginary Authors. Has a little bit of like a dusty textural feel to it as well, but I think this one, you can see on Fragrantica, it's voted as very hated, but I adore this one, especially for this time of the year in September. So Whispered Mist from Imaginary Authors is Cartier's Linval EDP. Really nice soapy honey fragrance, just a very nice light white floral, elegant, clean, brisk, sort of easy to wear, maybe not the most complimented style fragrance, but it's very intriguing, elegant, unique, and perfect for September because of that nice honey and like the kind of warm floral components and a little bit of a soapy cleanliness. Perfect for like picnic dates, brunch, outdoor events, especially early part of autumn, end of summer. Cartier's Linval EDP. Creed Viking. So this is a newer one to the collection, but a quick rising favorite of mine. What you get here is basically a barbershop fragrance meets Old Spice DNA. So you get some like clove style, cinnamon, pink peppery. I don't know if like all those notes are in there, but you get that type of peppery component that you'd get out of Old Spice, and then there's also this like minty lavender component. The lavender gets a little bit kind of powdery and dandy boyish, which makes this a little bit hard to pull off in the higher heat at the end of summer here. Like I wore this the other day in 90-degree weather, and the powderiness and the dry down was a little bit much, but this is, I think, a perfect brisk weather, cool morning fragrance for the month of September, and I'm really glad to have gotten my nose on this one. Obviously, Creed fragrances aren't something to blind buy. Definitely sample first, see if this is your cup of tea, but I think a great offering from Creed. Versace Eros Flame, I've been speaking about this one a decent amount lately. You get a really nice citric component in here, a really nice orange style sweetness, and then a geranium that brings the classic sweet minty quality to this DNA that you get from the original. But this stuff has like some black pepper in here as well. It just gives it a little bit more of a kick, a little bit more spice, a little bit more warmth that you would be wanting in this part of the early autumn. And then the colors that this evokes are very much reminiscent of the changing colors on the tree leaves. There's a nice aromatic rosemary in here that has that hanging on element of the greenness of the summer, but perfect for summer nights and this early part of the autumn, and affordable, but also I think getting discontinued, so scoop this up while you can. Versace Eros Flame. Dior Homme 2020. Recently have been enjoying Dior Homme Sport 2021, but this one kind of dials back the fresh, sparkly citric qualities and makes it a little bit more wearable in this nice transitional weather, like in the spring and the autumn. I'm still on the fence as to whether I would rather own just this, the original, or the Sport one. I'm leaning towards the Sport at the moment, but now that the weather's starting to cool down, I'm starting to fall back more in love with the original. So we'll see, but this one I think is an absolute must-have in this, or the Sport Flanker are must-haves in anyone's collection in today's day and age. And this one I think is absolutely perfect for the month of September. Nichane's Sultan Vetiver. So this is definitely a little bit more of a mature, harsh, masculine fragrance, I would say. A very manly man's, outdoorsman's style vetiver. What I really get when I smell this off the cap, though, is kind of like a freshly waxed gymnasium floor, like a basketball court, or a skating rink, like that very just smoothed out, ready to be engaged with style wood flooring. Very woody in that sense, very cold, very almost medicinal. It reminds me a lot of Guerlain's vetiver without the tobacco and the myrrh, which obviously give that fragrance a lot of its character, but this one is, this also has none of like the greenness that the Guerlain's vetiver has. This has definitely more of like a drier, autumnal appeal to it, I would say. And pretty affordable. I actually picked this bottle up as a tester for $75, so for the 50 ml. So pretty affordable fragrance. Definitely on the mature side, and it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. So, but still one of my favorites for this time of the year, month of September. This is Nichane's Sultan Vetiver. I meant to grab the Intense bottle, but this is the Cedrat Boise. I think this or the Intense version are going to be great. The Intense, I think, is a little bit better for the transition into the autumn, It's got a little bit more of a creamy textural feel, a little bit more emphasis on the leather, and it's just a little bit more oomph, and like I said, you know, like brings out the leather more, reduces the muskiness. So the muskiness I think is great for the high heat, which you get here in the original, which I actually prefer. This one in terms of wearability, I would prefer the Intense in terms of scent. So like the Intense is my personal favorite, but this one I think is just better for compliments and versatility for reasons. But yeah, either one are going to be great because they're very woody and rich and mass appealing and fresh. So they've got just enough of that citrus that's going to make them wearable in the high heat, still hanging on here at the end of August and the beginning parts of September, or the end of summer and the early parts of autumn here in September. This is leather Jardin, definitely one of my most reached for recently in these past 5 days here in September. It's just a very nice, light, easy to wear leather, and kind of evokes some of those imageries that are associated, at least for me, in the 60s and 70s, like leather briefcases, some of the brown sort of wooden panels that were in the walls and hallways. It's kind of tan brown carpeting, that sort of atmosphere is what this evokes, but it's brought to the modern age by the sparkly grapefruit in the opening, I would say. Kind of like, you know, I have this in a Chypre Siam, and I decided to just include this instead of Chypre Siam because I think this one is one that I just end up reaching more so lately anyways. So this is leather Jardin from Zara. Definitely try hunting this one down. This one I just had a pause because I was at a almost loss of words for how to introduce it. This is Guerlain Heritage Eau de Toilette. Now, I can't speak for recent formulations. I only own this vintage gold cap version. I will say, however, that if you were in the ballpark to pick this up and have the kind of money to buy this, just go ahead and buy this vintage gold cap Guerlain Heritage. This is the superior fragrance. This is like the height of modern civilization, the 90s, like decade of peace or so. There was like no 9/11 had happened yet. There's this like optimism of advancement of technology and just like class and elegance, the like epitome of a modern 90s barbershop with this one. There's a bunch of notes, but you get some nice lavender is going to be one of the main players in here. There's some nice aldehydic components there in the opening. Very you know, it breathes. There's like a lot of sillage, very potent, sticks around for a long time. Just an incredibly fresh and elegant, but then like there's a nice degree of sweetness in there and a cold quality. There's like some juniper berries in the opening. Beautiful Guerlain's Heritage, definitely one of my favorites for this time of the year. It is a recent addition to my collection, but it you know, the scent profile is evoking the month of September for me, and I've been enjoying wearing it in the mornings here past couple days. So definitely take a look at this one, do some research, see if this one's for you, but I'm definitely behind getting one of these vintage versions for sure. And finally, last one. This is definitely an acquired taste. The overall composition reminds me something akin to like wood chips soaked in kerosene, but by that token it's very medicinal, woody, dry, kind of like Encre Noir à l'Extrême if you took the inkiness out of it and maybe freshened it up slightly. This is Byblos September Morn. Also has a bit of a barnyard skanky oud quality in there, but it is a very clean, easy to wear, woody fragrance, very dry, and I mean, you can just see by the name September Morn, this is a gem for the month of September. Alright, so that was my top 20 picks for the month of September. Let me know what you're going to be reaching for over the next course of 21 or so days, 3 weeks, and what you're going to be looking forward to wearing moving into October, November, December, the winter. You know, where are we at in our fragrance journey? I always appreciate you sticking with me here to the end of the video in my journey, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.